Part 2. Uh-oh. Ben took a step back as a green head emerged. The head was attached to a neck that gradually rose from the water, higher and higher and higher, until the head hovered far above the lake. Pearl and Ben gawked, their mouths wide open. It was a moment of pure wonder. It looks like a sea monster, Ben whispered. A sea monster, Pearl whispered back. An actual sea, she frowned. But it's living in a lake. Maybe it's a lake monster, like the Loch Ness monster. The Loch Ness monster? Pearl kept her voice low. Yelling had been a fine thing to do when she'd been trying to get the creature's attention. But now that she was face to face with its enormity, she thought it best to be as quiet as possible. She leaned close to Ben, aiming her hushed voice at his ear. Do you think this creature is related to the Loch Ness monster? Ben shrugged. I don't know. I thought the Loch Ness monster was a hoax. I thought all those photos were fakes. Pearl knew exactly what he was talking about. There was a book called Terrifying Secrets of Loch Ness at the Buttonville bookstore. Before she'd been banned from the store, Pearl had spent many a morning there, tucked into a far corner, reading whatever suited her mood. The book was filled with photos of a monster that supposedly inhabited Loch Ness, a lake in Scotland. The pictures were always grainy, mostly shot in black and white, of a long-necked creature that looked a bit like a dinosaur. None of the photos offered a close-up view or any details like facial expressions or skin texture. She concluded that the sightings were hoaxes. Well, this lake monster is totally real, she whispered. Stretching its neck, the creature ripped pine needles from the top of the tree. Water dripped off its snout as it munched, its jaw moving leisurely like a cow chewing cud. When it swallowed, a big, roundish lump traveled down the length of its neck in slow motion. Cool, Ben said, with a burst of enthusiasm. See the bottom of this page, where it shows the body sticking out of the lake. Pretty neat. Alerted by Ben's exclamation, the lake monster turned and looked toward the dock. It stopped chewing, narrowing its round eyes. Oh no, Ben said, it's coming this way. He took a few steps backward. Pearl wasn't sure how to react. Part of her wanted to retreat to a safer distance, but the other part of her couldn't believe her luck. Compared with this amazing creature, the Sasquatch seemed so ordinary. She slowly raised her hand and waved as the lake monster glided through the water, getting closer and closer and closer. Wow, it's really big, Pearl realized. Really, really big. She took a couple of steps backward just to be on the safe side. Do you think it's as big as a dinosaur? Ben appeared to be frozen with fear because his feet weren't moving, nor was any part of his face. He stared up as the monster towered over the dock. Green scales, each glistening with droplets of water, covered its face and neck. It lowered its head until it was on eye level with Pearl. Then they stared at each other. Pearl found it hard to breathe, not because the creature smelled fishy, but because she was laughing, gasping, and squealing at the same time. Was this truly happening? Was she face to face with a creature as big as a brontosaurus? Or was she dreaming? The monster snorted, spraying Pearl's face with flecks of goo. Yep, I'm wide awake, she told herself, wiping her face with her lab coat sleeve. The basketball-sized eyes blinked at her. They contained every color of green Pearl had ever seen, from Robin Hood green to four-leaf clover green to lime sherbet green. The lashes were jet black and curled at the ends. Pearl's reflection stared back at her from the creature's irises. You're beautiful, Pearl said. It flared its nostrils and sniffed the top of Pearl's head. Pearl wasn't sure what to do. Should she run? Should she call for help? Nothing this large had ever smelled her hair. Maybe Ben was right. Maybe they should have stayed in the forest suite, clipping toenails. Being jabbed by a flying toenail was a lot less dangerous than standing mere inches away from a real, living, breathing lake monster. The monster bent its neck and sniffed Pearl's toes. Then, with a graceful lunge, it reached past Pearl and grabbed some grass from the lake's edge. It chewed the blades contentedly, its eyes half closed. Everything was okay. No one was hurt. No one was in trouble. Pearl and Ben sighed with relief, their shoulders relaxing. That was freaky, Ben said. I thought it was going to eat you. Me too, Pearl admitted. Then, ever so slowly, she reached out and patted the creature's neck. The scales feel soft and slippery. Do you think it's a girl or a boy? I don't know, Ben said with a shrug. Cautiously, he reached out and touched the scales. They're kind of slimy. The creature stopped chewing and didn't seem to mind one bit that two humans were petting it. Aren't you glad we did this? Pearl asked. How many kids get to pet a lake monster? Ben smiled. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The monster smiled, then turned and sniffed the top of Ben's head. Ben froze again as hot breath blew through his hair. It tickles, he mumbled. The monster sniffed Ben's lab coat, then his brand new sneakers, which were now covered in grass stains. I told you we wouldn't get into trouble, Pearl said with a little laugh. It was funny to watch the creature nudge Ben with its big snout. Sometimes it's okay to break the rules. And that's when the lake monster wrapped its mouth around Ben's middle and picked him up right into the air.